The news spread across the galaxy faster than light. Within hours, every civilization had heard the impossible story. From bustling trade stations to isolated mining colonies, from ancient empires to newly discovered worlds. Only one topic dominated every conversation. A single human, one man, one ship, one impossible victory. Without firing a single shot, without destroying a single enemy vessel, without taking a single life, he had stopped an entire Krell war fleet. Military analysts replayed the sensor recordings thousands of times. They searched for hidden weapons, secret technology, a tactical mistake. Anything. They found nothing. The impossible remained impossible. And yet, it had happened. The Galactic Coalition headquarters descended into complete chaos. Emergency sessions were declared before the official reports had even finished arriving. Representatives from more than 70 species crowded into the Grand Assembly Hall, each demanding answers. Some argued that humanity should immediately be recognized as one of the Coalition's greatest strategic powers. Others were far less enthusiastic. If one human can do this, what could an entire human fleet accomplish? Several delegates openly proposed monitoring Earth's military more closely. Others demanded stronger alliances before humanity became too powerful. Arguments echoed through every chamber. Fear mixed with admiration. Respect mixed with suspicion. But despite their disagreements, every representative accepted one undeniable truth. They had underestimated humanity. Again. Far from the political chaos, aboard Forward Command Station Sigma, everything was quiet. Inside a small debriefing room, soft white lights illuminated a simple table. 3 people sat around it. Commander Hana, the human known simply as Day, and Ren, an elderly Quillan psychologist whose gentle gray fur and kind eyes reflected decades spent helping soldiers survive the invisible wounds of war. The Coalition assigned psychologists after every major combat operation. It was routine. Necessary. Most warriors left battle carrying fear, guilt, nightmares. Ren expected the same today. Instead, Day looked almost disappointingly ordinary. He leaned comfortably in his chair, holding a steaming cup between his hands. A faint smile rested on his face. Ren glanced toward the cup. "What is that?" Day looked down. "Oh." He smiled slightly. "Tea. An earth drink. It helps me think." The psychologist made a small note before looking back at him. "How are you feeling?" Day took another slow sip. "Tired." A pause. "And ready to go home." Ren tilted her head. "You don't appear disturbed." She studied him carefully. Most beings who survive an encounter with death display elevated stress levels. She looked directly into his eyes. Fear, shock, relief. "But you appear." She searched for the right word. "Peaceful." Day remained silent for a moment. Then he placed the cup gently onto the table. "I was afraid." Ren blinked. "You were?" "Of course." He gave a small laugh. "Only fools aren't afraid." The room became quiet. Hana watched him with curiosity. Ren leaned forward. "Then why don't you seem traumatized?" Day looked out the nearby window toward the endless stars. "When I was growing up, my grandfather told me something." He smiled at the memory. He fought in one of Earth's last major wars. Ren listened quietly. He said courage isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding that someone else is more important than your fear. The room remained silent. Day continued softly. "When those civilians called for help, I had 2 choices. I could save myself, or I could save them." He shrugged. "Once I made that decision, the fear didn't matter anymore." Ren slowly lowered her data tablet. For the first time in the interview, she had no questions left, only understanding. She realized something profound. The Coalition had spent centuries studying human weapons, human ships, human military doctrine, but they had overlooked the one thing that truly made humanity dangerous. It wasn't their technology, it wasn't their tactics, it wasn't even their courage. It was this: Humans would willingly risk everything for people they had never even met. And no amount of military intelligence could ever predict that. I was prepared for the mission. I did what I was trained to do. The outcome was what I expected. Ren made notes on her datapad. Expected? You expected to face a war fleet alone and survive. I expected to find a solution. Whether that meant survival or not was secondary to protecting the colonists. He set down his cup. That's what I signed up for. Hannah leaned forward. Day, I need to understand. What are you exactly? Captain Me called you an arbiter. What does that mean? Dee considered his words carefully. On Earth, we have many soldiers, many military specialists. But we also recognize that some situations don't need armies. They need individuals who can think independently, adapt quickly, and solve problems unconventionally. Arbiters are trained for impossible situations. We go where fleets can't. We do what conventional forces can't. How many of you are there? Hannah asked. That's classified, but enough. Earth has billions of people. Many of us want to help, to protect, to serve. Ren spoke up quietly during the mission. Did you enjoy it? The hunt making them afraid? Day looked at her directly. His eyes were honest. No, I didn't enjoy it. But I'm good at it. Those people needed someone good at it. So I did my job. He paused. Humans don't fight because we love violence. We fight because we love what we're protecting. The simple statement hung in the air. Hannah realized this was the truth about humans that the galaxy needed to understand. They weren't aggressive for aggression's sake. They were fiercely protective. There was a difference. Over the next 3 days, Day was interviewed by dozens of coalition officials. Military strategists wanted to know his tactics. Diplomats wanted to understand his negotiation methods. Scientists wanted to study his adaptations to stress. But the most important conversation happened when Ambassador Yuna's mother Zuman brought her daughter to meet Day Yu. The little Valoran girl was shy at first, hiding behind her mother's robes, but curiosity won out. She stepped forward and looked up at the human. You saved us, Yuna said quietly. Day knelt down to her level. I helped, but your mother saved you too. She kept you calm and safe while we worked on the problem. Are all humans like you? Yuna asked. It was the question everyone wanted answered. Tay thought about it carefully before responding. Humans are all different. Some are brave, some are scared, some are strong, some are gentle, but we all share something. We take care of each other. We protect those who need protection, and we never give up. Ever. Never, Yuna asked. Never. That's the most human thing there is. We keep going even when things seem impossible. Suman placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Thank you. I don't have other words. Just thank you. Day stood and nodded respectfully. You're welcome. Take care of her. Children are our future. All of our futures. After they left, Hannah approached. That was kind. You're good with children. I have nieces and nephews on Earth. I miss them. Day looked out the window at the stars. That's why I do this. So kids like Yuna can grow up safe. So my nieces and nephews have a peaceful galaxy to explore someday. Hannah saw it then. The real reason Earth was dangerous. Not because humans were violent, but because they cared deeply. When something threatened what they cared about, they became unstoppable. The formal debriefing took another week. Coalition officials reviewed every action they took. They analyzed his tactics, his psychology, his methods. They tried to understand how one person accomplished what seemed impossible. During one session, a military commander named General Kyung asked the question everyone was thinking. Your bioweapon threat, was it real? Did you actually reprogram their weapons to target craft DNA? The room went silent. Everyone leaned forward. Dee smiled slightly. What do you think? I think it doesn't matter, Kyo Wong said slowly. Because they believed you. That's what matters. Exactly. Warfare isn't just about weapons. It's about perception, psychology, making your enemy believe you're capable of anything. And humans are capable of a lot when properly motivated. But was it real? Kyung Preste looked at him steadily. If it wasn't real, they would have called my bluff. They didn't. That tells you what you need to know. He never gave a direct answer, and somehow that made it more frightening. Finally, after all the debriefings and interviews and questions, Hannah visited Day One last time before he left. They stood in the same docking bay where he had arrived 2 weeks ago. The Coalition Council is meeting to discuss Earth's status, Hannah said. Some want to give you full membership. Others want restrictions. Everyone is afraid. Afraid of what? Dee asked. Of what happens when humanity decides it wants more than just a seat at the table. You're survivors, conquerors of your own world. What if you decide to conquer others? Day shook his head. Ambassador, we didn't join the coalition to conquer it. We joined because we were tired of being alone. For millions of years, humans were the only intelligent species we knew. We looked at the stars and wondered if anyone else was out there. When we finally found you, found all of you, it was the greatest moment in our history. But you're so capable, so dangerous. Yes, we are, and we'll never apologize for that. Survival made us strong, but survival also taught us the value of cooperation, of community, of protecting each other. He looked at her seriously. Hana, Earth doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to be part of it, to contribute, to help. But we remember what it takes to survive, and we'll never forget that lesson. What lesson? That peace is worth fighting for, that innocents deserve protection, and that the strong should defend the weak, not prey on them. Dee extended his hand in the human gesture of friendship. We want to be your allies, your friends, but we need you to trust us. Can you do that? Hana looked at his hand. She thought about everything she had witnessed. One human saving 3,000 lives. One human showing mercy to enemies. One human fighting not for glory, but for protection. She took his hand. I'll try. I'll speak for Earth in the Council. I'll tell them what I've learned. What have you learned? That Deathworlders aren't monsters. They're survivors who learn to care deeply. And that makes them the best allies anyone could ask for. Day smiled genuinely this time. Thank you, Ambassador. That means more than you know. He boarded his ship and departed. Hana watched until he disappeared from sensors. Then she returned to her office and began writing her report to the Coalition Council. She wrote about human capabilities, about their psychology, about their methods, but mostly, she wrote about their hearts. Humans were dangerous, yes, but they were dangerous in service of protection. They were fierce, but fierce in defense of the innocent. They were capable of incredible violence, but only when necessary. The galaxy needed to understand. Earth wasn't a threat. Earth was a guardian, and the coalition needed guardians. 6 months later, the council voted. Earth was given full membership, full rights, full recognition, and a new designation, Protectorate Species. When threats emerged, when colonies were in danger, when conventional forces failed, the coalition would call Earth. They would send humans, and the galaxy would learn to speak a new phrase in every language. The humans are coming. For the innocent, it meant hope. For the hostile, it meant justice. And for humanity, it meant finally having a purpose in the vast, cold, beautiful galaxy they had dreamed of reaching for so long. They would be protectors, guardians, arbiters of peace. Because that's what survivors do. When they finally find something worth protecting, they protect it with everything they have. The communication channel crackled with tension. Every screen in the Coalition Command Center showed the same thing. On one side, Warlord They sat in his command chair, scales dark red against the harsh lighting of his warship. On the other side, Day stood in his small ship, relaxed and calm. Hana had ordered every available officer to the command center. This wasn't just a negotiation. This was a test. Would humanity's methods work, or would they fail and doom 3,000 people? That spoke first. His voice was deep and filled with barely controlled rage. You are bold, human, or foolish, perhaps both. You sneak onto my ships like a parasite. You threaten me with my own weapons. You think this makes you strong. I think this makes me effective, Dee replied simply. Strength isn't about size or numbers. It's about adapting to situations and finding solutions. You surrounded a colony full of civilians. That was your first mistake. Mistake? Tech's eyes narrowed. I have 23 warships. You have one small vessel. I have thousands of warriors. You are alone. How is that a mistake? Because you assumed that more meant better. You thought overwhelming force was enough. But you forgot something important. What? That predators exist on every world. And the most dangerous predators aren't always the biggest. Day leaned forward slightly. On Earth, we have creatures called wolves. They're not the largest animals, but they hunt in packs. They plan, they adapt. They take down prey 10 times their size by being smarter, not stronger. Are you comparing yourself to an animal? That growled. I'm explaining that humans understand hunting because we've been both hunter and prey. We learned survival from a world that gave us no choice. Tell me, Warlord Thok, how many times has your species faced extinction? The said nothing. Hannah understood why. The Kraraft evolved on a harsh world, but they were always apex predators. They never had to learn desperate survival. Day continued. Humans almost went extinct at least 6 times. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, disease, starvation. Each time we adapted, we learned. We survived. Do you know what that teaches you? What? Thick asked, despite himself. That there's always a way, always a solution. You just have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Dee's expression hardened. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to protect those people in that colony. Even die? Tech challenged. If necessary, but I don't plan to die. I plan to win. And I've already won, Warlord. You just haven't accepted it yet. In the command center, Ren whispered to Hana, "Is he right? Has he really won?" Hana watched Thek's face on the screen. She saw the calculation there. The warrior was thinking, weighing options. Dee had taken away his easy victory. Now Thee had to decide if his pride was worth the risk. "Explain," demanded. "How have you won?" "Simple math," Day said. "Option 1, you attack the colony. I release the bioweapons. Your entire fleet dies. The colony dies. Nobody wins. Option 2, you try to kill me. Maybe you succeed, but I've programmed the release to happen automatically if my heart stops. Your fleet still dies. Option 3, you leave peacefully. Everyone lives. You can tell your people you chose mercy. They might even respect you for it. Mercy. The spat the word like poison. The craft don't show mercy. Then call it tactical retreat. Call it strategy. I don't care what words you use. But if you're as smart as your reputation suggests, you'll take the option that lets you keep breathing." The stood from his chair, his massive form filling the screen. "You dare speak to me like this? I have conquered worlds, and I'm from a world that conquered us first. We learned that's the difference." Dee's voice remained calm. "You want to test me? Go ahead. But understand something, Warlord. I didn't come here to fight you. I came here to save innocent people. If you force me to choose between your life and theirs, I won't hesitate." The two stared at each other through the screens. Predator and predator. Warrior and soldier. Different methods, different backgrounds, but the same fundamental understanding of combat. Finally, Thek spoke quietly. "You truly modified the bioweapons. Yes, you would truly release them without hesitation, even though it would mean war between your species and mine." Dee shook his head. "No, it would mean your fleet dies, and Earth sends a formal apology for the misunderstanding. You attacked a coalition colony, we defended it. The law is on our side." Vor leaned close to Hana. "He's not just negotiating, he's teaching the Veral that humans have already considered every angle, every consequence." "That's terrifying." Hana nodded slowly. She was beginning to understand. Humans didn't just survive their death world. They learned to think 10 steps ahead, to plan for every possibility. It was survival thinking, raised to an art form. On Valar 7, the colonists were listening too. Colony Director Tammin had been broadcasting the negotiation to keep people calm. In the shelter where families huddled together, a young Valoran girl named Yuna tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mother, is that human going to save us?" Her mother, Suman, held her daughter close. "I don't know, sweetheart." "He sounds brave. He sounds dangerous," Suman said quietly. But she held hope in her heart. Dangerous to enemies, protective to friends. Maybe that's what Deathworlders were. Back in the negotiation, the sat down again. His posture had changed, less aggressive, more thoughtful. "Tell me about Earth," he said. The question surprised everyone. Hana leaned forward. Why would the warlord ask about Earth now? Dee seemed surprised too, but answered. "What do you want to know? You said your species almost went extinct multiple times. You said your world is harsh, yet you survived. How? Cooperation, intelligence, stubbornness?" Dee smiled slightly. "We're pack animals, warlord. We protect our own. When one human is threatened, others come. When innocents suffer, we don't calculate odds. We act. That's what I'm doing now. Those people down there include humans, yes, but also Valorans, Quillen, Tresh, and 9 other species. I would do this for any of them." "Why?" Thek asked. The question wasn't challenging. It was genuine curiosity. Because that's what civilization means. Protecting those who can't protect themselves. Creating communities where everyone is safe. Your way is conquest. Our way is cooperation. And in the long run, our way is stronger. That was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Less angry, more calculating. If I withdraw my fleet, how do I know you won't attack us? I give you my word. And humans keep their word. It's another survival trait. Trust is valuable. Breaking it is expensive. Your word, the repeated. The word of one human against my warrior's honor. The word of one human backed by billions more. And backed by the truth that this doesn't have to be a fight. You can leave with honor intact. Tell your people you chose a tactical retreat. Because the situation changed. Because an unknown element entered the equation. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Hana watched the face. She saw the moment he made his decision. His shoulders relaxed slightly. His expression shifted from rage to resignation. You are a strange species, humans, Tech said finally. Weak in body, but strong in mind. Small in numbers here, but vast in potential. I will remember this day. I will remember Earth. And I will tell my people about the Deathworlders who fight not with claws or weapons, but with cunning and determination. Does that mean you're withdrawing? Day asked. Yes, but understand this human called Day. If we meet again, things may be different. If we meet again, Day said quietly, I hope it's as allies, not enemies. The galaxy is big enough for both our species. Tech stood and gave a small bow, a gesture of respect in craft culture. Perhaps we shall see. The communication ended. For a moment, nobody in the command center moved. Then sensors showed movement. The craft fleet was changing formation, breaking orbit, preparing to jump to hyperspace. One by one, 23 warships vanished from sensors. The siege was over. Hana exhaled a breath she didn't know she was holding. Around her, officers began to cheer. They had witnessed the impossible. One human, one ship against an entire fleet. And the human had won without firing a shot. Day's voice came through the communication channel. Ambassador Hana, the colony is secure. I'm returning to the command station. We should discuss what happens next. What happens next? Hana repeated. You just saved 3,000 lives. What more is there? We need to talk about what this means, Day said, because the galaxy just learned something about Earth, and I think that changes everything. The Coalition Command Center was silent, except for the soft beeping of sensors. Every officer watched the main screen, tracking Day's ship as it approached the Krath fleet. Hana sat forward in her chair, hands gripped together. He's entering their sensor range now, Ren reported quietly. They should detect him any second, but seconds passed, then minutes. Day's ship moved closer to the massive Krath warships, and somehow they didn't react. Are their sensors broken? Vor asked. No, a technician answered. They're active and scanning, but look at his trajectory. He's using the debris field from the old mining operations. The rocks are blocking their view. Hana watched in amazement as Day's small ship wove through space. Using every asteroid and piece of debris as cover, he moved like he knew exactly where every sensor was pointed, staying in the blind spots. It was navigation that should have been impossible. The gravitational forces from so many large rocks should have torn his ship apart. How is he doing that? Ren whispered. Humans, Vor said slowly, come from a high-gravity world. Perhaps their reaction times are faster than ours. Their calculations quicker. Day's ship slipped past the outer ring of craft vessels without being detected. Then he did something unexpected. Instead of heading toward the colony, he veered away, moving toward Velar 7's largest moon. What is he doing? Hana demanded. The colony is in the other direction. I don't know, Ambassador. He's landing on the dark side of the moon. For 20 minutes, there was nothing. No movement, no signals. Day's ship sat on the moon's surface, completely dark and silent. Then the craft fleet started having problems. It began small. A patrol ship on the outer edge reported engine trouble. They sent distress signals to the main fleet, but before anyone could reach them, the ship went dark. No explosion, no damage visible on sensors, just silence. Warlord's voice came over intercepted communications. Send a team to investigate. Another ship moved toward the silent patrol vessel. The team boarded weapons ready. Minutes later, their panicked voices came through. They're all dead. The crew, all of them. No marks, No wounds. What killed them? Before they could investigate further, their ship's systems started failing. Lights flickered. Life support struggled. They evacuated quickly, returning to the main fleet. What's happening? Tech demanded. No one had answers. 2 ships disabled in less than an hour. In the command center, Hana and her officers watched in confusion and growing awe. Day hadn't fired a single weapon. He hadn't attacked openly, but the Krath fleet was starting to panic. Pull up communications from the Krath, Hana ordered. I want to hear what they're saying. The next few hours revealed Day's strategy. He wasn't fighting like a soldier. He was hunting like a predator. A supply ship disappeared, just vanished from sensors for 30 seconds, then reappeared. But when the craft checked it, all their weapons had been sabotaged. Useless. A command vessel lost power for 5 minutes. When it came back online, their computer systems were playing strange sounds. Music, the craft reported. Loud, rhythmic, aggressive music. Earth music. War songs. And written in their own language on every screen in the ship was a message. You hunt the weak. Now you are hunted. The Krath warriors, apex predators who had conquered 17 worlds, started to feel something they had never experienced before. Fear. They ordered his fleet into tight defensive formations. Find this human. Destroy him. But they couldn't find him. Day moved like a ghost. He appeared, struck, and vanished before they could respond. He hacked their communications to play his messages. He disabled their weapons. He cut their supply lines. And he left no survivors to explain how he did it. Ren pulled up a tactical analysis. Ambassador, he's not trying to destroy them. He's making them afraid. Look at their formation. They've pulled back from the colony. They're focused on defending themselves now, not attacking. Hana realized the truth. D was using psychology. The Krath valued strength and despised fear. By making them feel hunted, he was destroying their confidence, their honor. On the 3rd day, Day made his boldest move. The flagship, Warlord Thek's personal command vessel, the largest and most heavily armed ship in the fleet. Sensors showed life support fluctuating, then failing completely for 30 seconds before backups kicked in. Beck's roar echoed through intercepted communications. He was here inside my ship. Find him. Kill him. But Day was already gone, and he left something behind. The Coalition intercepted a private message sent to the personal terminal. It was audio only. Day's voice, calm and quiet. Warlord Thek, my name is Day. I'm just one human. One person from one little death world you've probably never heard of. I've been watching you for 3 days. I've been inside your ships. Your crews are terrified. Your systems are compromised. And here's what you need to understand. There was a pause in the command center. Everyone leaned forward to hear. I found your bioweapons vault. The viruses and poisons you plan to use on the colony. Very thorough, very deadly. I was impressed, but I made some modifications. Those weapons now recognize Kraft DNA exclusively. Every virus, every poison, every biological agent in your arsenal is now targeted to kill only your species. Hana gasped. Around her, officers looked at each other in shock. Day's voice continued. I've programmed your deployment systems. If I send a single command from my ship, every bow weapon you have will be released inside your fleet. Your own weapons will become your tomb. All of you dead within hours. That's insane, Bohr whispered. Is he bluffing? I don't think humans bluff, Hana said quietly. Here's my offer. Day continued. Leave, take your fleet and go. Never return to the system. The colony goes free. You live. Everyone wins. Or stay here and I'll show you what happens when a deather stops being nice. The message ended. The Coalition Command Center was silent. They watched the craft fleet on sensors, waiting for a response. Minutes passed, then an hour. Finally, they sent a message. His voice was filled with rage and something else. Something that sounded like respect. I want to speak with you face to face. You and me. Granted, D replied. But know this. I'm not afraid of you. I've seen real monsters. I grew up on a planet full of them. You're just another bully who picks on those weaker than yourself. You speak boldly for one person against a fleet. I speak truthfully, and truth is a weapon you can't defend against. The Wort was silent for a moment. You said you come from a death world. What is your world called? Earth. Earth, they repeated slowly. I will remember that name. How many others like you are there? Day's response was simple and terrifying. Billions. Hana felt her blood run cold. Billions of humans like Day. Billions of Deathworlders who could hunt, who could adapt, who could turn any situation into a victory. The galaxy had just learned something it couldn't unlearn. That spoke again. I will speak with you, but be warned, human. If this is a trick, no tricks. Day interrupted. Just reality. You attacked innocent people, people under my protection. Now you face the consequences. We can resolve this peacefully, or we can resolve it the other way. Choose. The communication channel opened fully, and for the first time in her life, Hana was about to hear a human negotiate from a position of absolute power. She realized she was witnessing history the moment the galaxy learned to fear and respect the species from the little blue death world called Earth. Hana waited in the docking bay of Forward Command Station Sigma. Around her stood a dozen coalition officers, all anxious and confused. They were expecting a warship, a battalion, maybe special forces team with heavy weapons. Instead, sensors showed a single small craft approaching. The ship that entered the bay was unremarkable. It was gray, compact, and bore no obvious weapons. It looked more like a courier vessel than a military craft. The engines powered down with a soft hum. "That's it?" Vor asked, his deep voice echoing in the bay. "Where is the rest of the fleet?" The ship's door opened with a hiss. A ramp extended downward, and one person walked out. He was human, male, average height by Earth standards, which made him shorter than most species present. He wore dark tactical clothing that looked lightweight, almost casual, no heavy armor, no obvious weapons. He carried a single pack on his back and wore what looked like a communications device on his wrist. The human walked down the ramp with easy confidence. His dark hair was cut short. His face was calm, almost relaxed. He looked like he was arriving for a meeting, not a rescue mission against a hostile fleet. Hana stepped forward, trying to hide her disappointment and growing anger. "I am Ambassador Hana. Are you Day?" "I am." His voice was quiet and steady. He looked at each officer present, studying them with dark eyes that seemed to miss nothing. "You're the ones who need help with the craft situation." "Yes," but Hana gestured at his ship, at him standing alone. "Where is your team? Where are your soldiers?" Captain Miji said, "Earth was sending help, but you're just one person." Day tilted his head slightly. "I am the help ambassador." Captain Memji said she was sending someone. "She sent me." Vor stepped forward, his massive frame towering over the human. "This is not acceptable. 3,000 lives are at stake. We need military force, not one person with no armor and no weapons." "I have weapons," Day said calmly. He tapped his temple. "This is my primary weapon. The rest are tools." "This is insane," another officer shouted. "Earth is playing games with people's lives." Day's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes grew colder. "Earth doesn't play games with innocent lives. That's why I'm here." He turned to Hana. "Ambassador, we're wasting time. Brief me on the situation. Everything you know about the craft, their positions, their psychology, and the colony layout." Hana wanted to argue more. She wanted to call Earth back and demand real help, but the countdown was still running. 60 hours left. She had no other options. "Follow me to the briefing room," she said. They moved through the station to a secure room filled with tactical displays. Hana pulled up everything they had: maps of the Valor 7 system, positions of 23 craft warships surrounding the colony, information about craft military structure, weapons, and tactics. Day studied everything in silence. He asked questions that surprised Hana. He didn't ask about firepower or shields. He asked about craft culture, their honor codes, what they feared, how they responded to unexpected threats. "They're warriors," Hana explained. "They value strength above all else. They respect power and despise weakness. Their society is built on conquest. Do they take prisoners?" Dee asked sometimes, usually as slaves or hostages. "What about their command structure? Who leads the fleet?" Ren pulled up a file. "Warlord Thick. He's conquered 17 worlds. He's never been defeated in battle. He's ruthless and tactical." DA studied the image. The craft leader was massive, even by their species standards. His scales were dark red, marked with scars from countless battles. His eyes showed intelligence and cruelty. "Has anyone tried to negotiate?" Dee asked. "Yes," Hana said bitterly. "They laughed at us. They said the colony has 3 days to surrender, or they'll destroy it, and everyone inside." Dee nodded slowly. "They're confident. They think they've already won. He looked at Hana. That's good. Good. How is that good? Confident enemies make mistakes. They don't expect real resistance. Day stood up from the table. I've seen enough. I'm going in now. The room erupted in protests. Officers shouting over each other. This was suicide. One person couldn't fight a fleet. Earth must be crazy. Day waited for the noise to die down. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but somehow cut through everything else. I understand you're all afraid. You should be. The Krath are dangerous, but you called Earth because you had no other choice. Now I'm asking you to trust that we know what we're doing. Trust. Var growled. You've given us no reason to trust. You arrive alone, with no plan and no weapons, and you expect us to believe you can save 3,000 people? They looked at the massive alien. I don't need you to believe in me. I need you to stay out of my way and let me work. Can you do that? Before anyone could answer, Day turned to Hana. I'll need access to your sensor network so you can track what happens. I'll maintain radio silence unless I need information. If the craft try to contact you, stall them. Don't let them know I'm coming. This is madness, Hana whispered. You're going to die, and then 3,000 people will die, and it will be my fault for trusting Earth. For the first time, Day smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the kind of smile that made Hana's blood run cold. Ambassador, humans come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. Ice ages, predators, diseases, starvation. We survived all of it. We adapted to everything Earth threw at us. Do you know what you learned from that? What? Hana asked quietly. That there's no such thing as impossible. There's only hard and harder. This? He gestured at the tactical display showing the Krath fleet. This is just hard. He walked toward the door. Hana followed him. Ren and Vor close behind. They watched as Day returned to his ship. He stopped at the ramp and turned back. One more thing, he called to them. When the craft start acting strange, when they start panicking, don't interfere. No matter what you see, let it play out. Can you promise me that? What are you going to do? Hana asked. What I was trained to do. What every human learns growing up on Earth. Day's expression was calm, but his eyes were hard as stone. I'm going to show them that they're not the apex predators they think they are. There's always something higher on the food chain. He entered his ship. The ramp closed. A moment later, the small craft powered up and left the bay, accelerating toward Valar 7. The officers stood in silence, watching the ship disappear on sensors. Ren moved close to Hana. Ambassador, did we just send one person to his death? Hana watched the screen, her mind racing. She thought about Dee's confidence, the cold certainty in his eyes, the way he smiled, like he knew something they didn't. I don't know, she admitted, but I think we're about to learn something about humans. Something the rest of the galaxy doesn't know yet. What's that? Hana remembered the human captain's words. You've never seen what we become when innocent people need protection. I think we're about to see what Deathworlders are really capable of, Hana said quietly. She pulled up the sensor display. Dee's ship was already halfway to the craft fleet. In the command center, technicians prepared to monitor everything. The galaxy was watching. One human was going to face an entire fleet, and somehow, Hana was starting to believe he might actually have a chance. The alarm screamed through the Coalition command center. Red lights flashed across every screen in the massive circular room. Hana rushed from her office, her long diplomatic robes flowing behind her. She was a Valoran, tall and thin with pale blue skin that glowed softly in the emergency lighting. Her forefingers moved quickly across the holographic display. Report, she commanded. A younger officer named Ren looked up from her station. The Quillen's fur was standing on end with stress. Ambassador, we have a code black from Valar 7. The mining colony is under siege. Hana's heart sank. Valar 7 housed 3,000 civilians, families, children, workers from 12 different species, all living peacefully together. It was supposed to be safe, far from any conflict zones. Who? Hana asked, though she already feared the answer. The Krath ambassador. The room went silent. Everyone knew about the Krath. They were warriors, conquerors, and they showed no mercy. They came from a heavy gravity world, where only the strong survived. Their bodies were covered in thick armor-like scales. Their teeth could tear through metal, and they loved battle more than anything else. Hana pulled up the distress message. The face of Colony Director Tammin appeared on screen. He was human, one of the few from Earth working in coalition space. His face was covered in sweat and dirt. Behind him, Hana could hear screaming and the sound of weapons fire. "This is Valar 7 calling any coalition forces. We are surrounded by craft warships. They are demanding we surrender. They want the colony's mineral reserves, and they want us as slaves." Tammin looked directly into the camera. "We have women and children here. We have 72 hours before our life support starts failing. Please, anyone, we need help." The message ended. Hana replayed it 3 times, hoping she missed something. But the facts remained the same. 3,000 innocent people would die in 3 days unless someone helped them. "Where is the nearest coalition fleet?" Hana asked. The tactical officer, a large creature called Vor, checked his displays. "The 5th fleet is 6 days away at maximum speed." 6 days, Hana whispered. "They need help in 3. Ren spoke up quietly. "What about a strike team? Special forces? The closest unit is on Helios Prime, 8 days away." Vor shook his massive head. "There is no one close enough, Ambassador." Hana sat down heavily in her chair. She had been with the coalition for 20 years. She had negotiated peace treaties, trade agreements, and first contact protocols, but she had never felt so helpless. 3,000 people were going to die, and she could do nothing. "Run through all available resources," she ordered. "Military, civilian, private security, anyone within range who could help." For 2 hours they searched. Every option ended the same way. Too far, too slow, not enough time. Finally, a junior analyst named Yoon spoke up. He was also Valoran, fresh from the academy. "Ambassador, there is one possibility, but you're not going to like it. Tell me, there's a species within range. A newly admitted coalition member. Their space is only 12 hours from Valar 7. Hana felt hope rise in her chest. "Who? Earth?" The hope died immediately. Hana closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Earth. The death world. The planet that should never have produced intelligent life. Where the gravity crushed, the weather killed, and the native predators hunted in packs. And somehow humans thrived there. The coalition had only accepted Earth into membership 6 months ago. It was controversial. Many species thought humans were too dangerous, too aggressive, too unpredictable. They came from a world classified as Class 12 Death World, one of the most hostile environments ever discovered. "Have we established proper diplomatic channels with Earth?" Anna asked. "Yes, Ambassador. They have a liaison office on Station 7. Hana thought about the humans she had met. Tammin was competent and friendly, but she had also read the reports. Humans were incredible survivors. Their world had tried to kill them for millions of years, and they adapted. They learned. They conquered their own planet through sheer determination. But that same determination made them frightening. They didn't give up. They didn't surrender. When cornered, they fought with a ferocity that shocked other species. Several coalition members had privately suggested keeping humans contained, limited, watched. But right now, 3,000 people needed help, and humans were the only ones close enough. "Open a channel to Earth's liaison office," Hana ordered. The connection took a few minutes. When the screen cleared, a human woman appeared. She was middle-aged with short black hair and dark eyes. She wore a simple military uniform. "This is Captain Mooney, of Earth's Coalition Liaison Office. How can we help, Ambassador?" Hana explained the situation quickly. The colony, the craft, the timeline, the impossibility of getting help in time. Mai listened carefully, her face unreadable. When Hana finished, the human woman nodded once. "We can help. We have someone in that sector already. We'll send them immediately." "How many troops can you deploy?" Hana asked. "How large is your ship? What weapons do you have?" "We're sending one person, Ambassador." The entire command center froze. Hana was certain she misheard. "One person. Captain, there are 3,000 civilians, surrounded by a craft war fleet. This is not a situation for one person. We need a military response." Mi's expression didn't change. "Ambassador, with respect, you called us because you had no other options. We're offering you the option we have. One of our best. He'll handle it. One person cannot fight a fleet." Hana's voice rose. She forced herself to calm down. "Please, Captain, I understand humans are capable, but this is suicide." "Ambassador Hana," Mimanj said quietly, "you don't understand what humans can do. You've read reports. Maybe met a few of us in peaceful situations, but you've never seen what we become when innocent people need protection. She leaned forward. The person we're sending is named Day. He's an arbiter. He specializes in impossible situations. Trust him. An arbiter? What is that? Someone who resolves problems that can't be solved conventionally. Me smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator. He'll be at your forward command station in 10 hours. Brief him on everything you know about the craft. He'll take it from there. The connection ended before Hana could argue further. The command center erupted in noise, officers shouting, analysts protesting, everyone demanding to know what just happened. Earth was sending one person to fight an entire fleet. It was insane. Ren approached Hana's station. Ambassador, what do we do? Hana stared at the dark screen where Mi's face had been. She thought about the human captain's confidence, the absolute certainty in her voice. Either humans were delusional, or they knew something the rest of the galaxy didn't. We brief this orbiter, Hana said finally. We give him every piece of intelligence we have, and then we pray that Earth knows what it's doing. She turned to look at the countdown timer on the main screen. 68 hours until life support failed on Valar 7. One human was coming. The galaxy held its breath.